You are listening to Lone Star Community Radio on 104.5 KCZW LP Conroe and 106.1 KZCCLP Conroe and worldwide on irlonestar.com.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to this week's edition of the Weekly Business Hour. I'm Rick Schissler. I'm your host. I'm also a Silver Fox advisor and the founder of OneBestConsult.com, a community for small business people to come, share situations, talk about their challenges, and hopefully get some peer-to-peer input that will make their decision-making a lot simpler. So please check it out, OneBestConsult.com. Well, I think we've lined up a pretty good show for you today. We've got several different guests, several different topics. But before we get started, this is the time of the year, the fall, the spring. There are lots of opportunities out there to talk about your business to the public at large. So if your customer base, your prospective customer base is out there in your neighborhood, so to speak, in that general physical geographical area that you serve near where your business is located, then I would look for opportunities to get involved with the festivals, the spring events, fall events. They're outdoors, particularly this year after people have been sort of locked up, had to stay at home for so long. These events are going to be typically well attended. So an opportunity for you, your business, to have a position, a booth, participation as a volunteer, a donor, recognition, connection with those folks that are attending those festivals and special events is a real plus for your business. So again, if your business is in the neighborhood and the area you're serving, then I would encourage you, if you're not already connected, connect yourself with some of these events and festivals. In our area, there's 1 or 2 or 3 every weekend. Now you can wear yourself down, but pick the ones you have a little bit of a passion for. Example, you have children, pick an event that is family or children friendly, that has rides, activities. Sometimes those are connected to church, school. But find events that you can get excited about and that you can get excited about giving some of your time, your talent, and perhaps some of your treasure too. So take advantage of the time of the year and promote your business right in your own backyard. Reminder as we go into the show, email. Send me an email if you have a question, if you have a comment about the show, you have a question with one of our guests, drop me a line. It's rick@irlonestar.com. That's rick@irlonestar.com. That's the email for the station, Lone Star Community Radio, that we're coming from. And if you'll send me that, I'll respond. I respond to all my emails. Deeply appreciate those that have certain challenges in their business and they want to pose a challenge. It goes into our mailbag, and potentially I will answer your question on the air so everyone who listens to the show can benefit from the challenge and hopefully my response to that challenge. So don't forget, email. Well, at this point, I want to bring out our first guest. We went and had a conversation this week with Dick Schissler. Dick is the general manager of Lone Star Community Radio. He's been on the show from time to time. They're the ones that produce and play the show and push it out to all types of media. And the station is undergoing a new construction project, moving into new quarters. And I asked Dick to join us and talk about that experience of moving to a new location, because he's got some ideas and some comments I think that would benefit you when the time comes that you need to move or relocate. So listen to this conversation. Dick Schissler, General Manager of Lone Star Community Radio. Good morning, Dick. How are you?
Doing pretty good. It's a nice Friday.
Yeah, it's a nice, beautiful day. As we do from time to time, we like to check in with Lone Star Community Radio and what's going on with your business. I've been doing that over the past 7-8 years. And you're getting ready to turn a whole new chapter in the business, opening a new studio shortly. So can you kind of give us an update on what's happening at Lone Star?
Yeah, sure. There's a lot going on, actually. We are moving the studio to the first floor of Conroe Tower. We are continuing our partnership with the city of Conroe, doing wonderful things for the community based off of media. And we're currently building 2 studios, one for the FM studio and then one for the just production. And it's going to be on the first floor. The city approached us and they were basically saying they're going to be redoing the first floor of City Hall, and they're going to try and make it like a welcome center. And they thought we'd be a great fit. So when you walk in, you get to see us, and then the coffee shops and the council room and all this other cool stuff. It's going to be really neat. And hopefully it's going to be done in about a month for our studio.
Well, that's fantastic. Now, when the new studio is built out, in particular, as it relates to irlonestar.com, what exactly will you be able to do, perhaps, that you haven't been done in the past?
Well, one thing that is a huge jump is our production, because we're building out the studio to be an actual studio. If you remember our last one, we were kind of in between two businesses. We shared a bathroom with three businesses, and our sound wasn't really controlled. And then also the internet that was available in that area wasn't very good. It was either very expensive for the product. And now when we're moving to our new place, we have a secure location. And we also have an internet connection that will allow us to stream on all platforms at the same time. So that's a big deal for a lot of our talk shows, because we in the past, what we've had to do is just choose one, like a YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, Twitter, all the platforms you can think of that people stream content on. We were only allowed to choose one, and which meant that every show, when we put it out, about half of it will be available live, and the other half will be available, in a couple days. But now we can do shows live on every platform available at the time it's being broadcasted. And pretty much the podcast is the only one that we can't do live, because it's a podcast. So you're supposed to, upload that and things like that. So our production is going to be turned around a lot quicker. And so the way we produce our shows is going to be streamlined significantly.
You bring up an interesting concept, because really Lone Star Community Radio, in my opinion, and what I think the public needs to know, is that it's a media
Yes.
center. You provide every form of communication medium, I guess not text, but you provide audio, video, TV, FM radio. I mean, you cover the gamut, so that when I do a show on your station there in the studio, it gets broadcast, if you will, everywhere.
Yeah. Yeah, it's something that I think a term will be developed. The way I try to explain to people about what we really reach, who we really reach, is think of us as a network, like a TV network, and we have a lot of things going on with one product, like one show. And I believe there's going to be, in 10 years from now, there's going to be a term for it. It's kind of hard to explain to people in a sentence, like, who do we reach? Because we reach so many people on so many different platforms, and most of those platforms are relatively new. So when you tell people a podcast, I would say the average, depending on the age group, the average person kind of has two opinions on it. It's either, oh, it's something I get through my phone, on my app, on my podcast app. And then you have another group who thinks it's just like, oh, it's something that I watch on YouTube. I've had a lot of different experiences with people trying to explain to them, like, this is who we reach. Like, what is a podcast? There's a video podcast, there's YouTube Live, there's Twitch. And then, it's kind of hard to navigate depending on who you're talking to. And I think that in a couple of years, there's going to be some type of term that people kind of get. So.
Yeah, this is a new opportunity. One of the things I noticed the other day when you were kind enough to give me a tour of the construction and what's happening is you're going to have a full-blown TV studio as well there at your new location.
Yes, that's something that we tested with at the old studio. If you remember, we had a small room in the back that we could fit probably 3 people in and do different types of production. So say you want to do a one-on-one interview similar to the style of like 60 Minutes or 2020 and all those kind of things. Or if you wanted to do a green screen test and do something like that with the new production studio, it's probably 2 to 3 times bigger than our previous space. So we have a lot of space to do a lot of things. And that's going to be very interesting for our programming, and also for Montgomery County, because it opens up another avenue for people to use our space for their own private reasons. Meaning, like, if you're doing a a promo video of a business and you want to do interviews with like the CEO and workers and things like that, we can use that space. And it's not, has no attachment to the radio station. It's just a production house. Well, I was even testing to maybe turning it into a photography studio too, because I'm a photographer. That's one of my hobbies. And I was like, you know what? You could probably set this up to be a really good photography area because of the space we have.
Yeah, I think it's the flexibility and the opportunities. In particular, earlier this year, I think we talked about it a little bit on the air. Lone Star Community Radio is now a 503c1 nonprofit, so people can donate, they can buy sponsorships. There's all kinds of opportunities for the community to be involved, not only as a volunteer, hopefully as a donor, but also to utilize the space. So you've got a big package you're offering the public.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to navigate through that because it's really only me and volunteers. So when we open up a production studio, depending on the inflow of people wanting to use everything, we're really looking and hoping for by the end of the year, we have a structure to start hiring people, because I will need help and I will need professional help. It won't, volunteers are wonderful, but when someone is paying money to use a studio, it's hard to give them somebody who the confidence if I'm not paying them. So I feel like that's going to be our next move, is when we start advertising that we're doing production work, podcasts that aren't really anything that has nothing to do with the radio station. It's going to be exciting to really look out and start hiring people. That's going to be a kind of a new process for us. So,
well, it's obviously a real challenge. One of the questions that pops into my mind in the move, previously you had a storefront, you were very visible there on Main Street in downtown Conroe. So when folks walked up and down the street or drove by, they could literally see in the window. Now you're within a building, obviously the first floor of City Hall. What do you see the advantages and disadvantages of being in moving to where you are compared to being on Main Street?
well, really, I have to look at it from two perspectives. First perspective is an audio engineer. The space we're in now is 10 times better because of a secure location. One of the disadvantages of the last location as an audio engineers, we would have people try to come in all the time because, like I said, we were in between businesses. So they'd be like, oh, I want to go to the branding iron, and they see a door and they go in the door and they see another door and they go in there and it's us. And it's like, okay, we're not the branding iron. I'm sorry. That from an audio engineer perspective, that's going to be a huge advantage because we can secure the location and we can not be interrupted, which depending on what mood I was in, I was like, oh, that's kind of fun. But it also depending on what show is recording. My morning show, I was totally fine with it because it's kind of exciting. But like your show and other shows that are professional and they're trying to do good content, I still think it's kind of funny, but I like it, the new location. Now, as a business owner or a person who runs the station, with the new location, what's great about it is we're partnering more with the city of Conroe. So when you try to promote the radio station, there's a prestige that comes with it. We're on the first floor of City Hall. We're right there in the heart of Conroe and where things happen in Conroe. The visibility is not going to be maybe as good, but as the last location, like you said, we were on Main Street, which is really cool. People who were walking by, going to the theaters and getting lunch and things like that, they could see us and hear us. But again, I think we make that loss, we make it up by being on the first floor of Conroe Tower in City Hall. It'd be a different story if we're on the 5th floor and we're just another number on the elevator kind of thing. But no, it's like when you walk in, there you go. But I do want to tell you a side story with what I foresee happening. It's kind of funny. I mentioned at the old location, we'd had strangers come in and just kind of thinking we're the branding iron or Main Street Market or, those kind of things. We are actually taking over the space that was utility and billing in City Hall. And I foresee a lot of people trying to pay their bills at our radio station. But the city's done a great job advertising it, making sure people just don't know. They did this about 3 months ago. they started the transition of telling people this is where you pay your bill and this is where you go. So I'm still sure we're going to get some people like knocking on the door, like freaking out because their water's cut off and they want to pay this bill. But yeah, that's to me, that's going to be interesting to see what happens with that.
Well, that's an interesting foresight. And I think since I took the tour, I recognize and see what they're going to do to first floor. Like you say, a welcoming community center, lots of activity, hopefully creating almost a plaza, what I call it, atmosphere. So I want to wish you the very best. Thank you for joining us today. I know you've got a lot of work on your hands trying to transition and move the studio, and we'll keep an eye on you and talk to you later.
All right. Thank you for having me again.
Take care. Well, I hope you enjoyed that conversation with Dick and Lone Star Community Radio, and hopefully you picked up an idea or two that you can use when the time comes when you need to relocate your business. We're headed into the bottom of the hour, and as we go to break, I want to mention, please stay with us. We've got John Martin coming up. John is deeply involved in the nonprofit community. He's a director with the American Cancer Society, serves the state of Texas, and he'll be talking about connecting your business to a nonprofit and how that can benefit your business. And then we also have the Miracle City Chamber of Commerce. Went out and did a person on the street interview with the director, head of the chamber, as well as a number of the members. So I think you'll enjoy that piece. So please stay with us, and we'll be right back with you.
The Texas A&M AgriLife Extension Service has been dedicated to educating Texans for over a century. In 1915, the Extension Program was established under the federal Smith-Lever Act to deliver university knowledge and agricultural research findings directly to the people. Ever since, AgriLife Extension programs have addressed the emerging issues of the day, serving diverse populations across the state. Texans turn to Extension for solutions in horticulture, agriculture, 4-H and youth, and family and consumer sciences. Extension agents respond not only with answers, but also with resources and services that result in significant returns on investment to boost the economy. Join us Fridays at 1 o'clock for the AgriLife Extension Hour.
Vell Institute, a 501c3 nonprofit, began in 2014 with a mission to strengthen the future of veterans through leadership and entrepreneurship training. We've invested over 1,400 hours of training in our veterans while connecting them with community entrepreneurs and leaders. Our mission is to continue investing in our veterans who have given so much for our country. Please join us in our mission by visiting vellinstitute.org. That's VELinstitute.org.
We have the safest food supply in the world. Strict laws and regulations restrict the usage of hormones, antibiotics, and pesticides within our food supply. Production agriculture practices and technologies such as the use of GMOs, which is not any more or less risky than conventional crop production, has allowed American farmers to produce more food on less acres in environmentally sound ways. Find out more online at pathtotheplate.tamu.edu. We are Texas A&M AgriLife Extension, helping Texans make lives better.
You are listening to Lone Star Community Radio and the Weekly Business Hour. I'm Rick Schissler, your host. And as promised, we have John Martin with us today. John is a director of the American Cancer Society for Estate and Gift Giving. He serves the entire state of Texas. He's been connected with nonprofits for a number of years. And I think he's got some real wisdom to share with you about how and why it's important that you connect your business with the nonprofit world out there and how your business really can benefit from that. So without further ado, let's listen to Mr. John Martin and a conversation that we had with him earlier. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we're back on the road, so to speak, and I think we have a delightful guest to talk to today, John Martin. John is the Director of Estate and Gift Planning for the American Cancer Society. He covers the entire state of Texas. He's got a real deep background working with nonprofits, both in the business world as well as directly for the nonprofits such as the American Cancer Society. So, John, I appreciate you joining us today and offer us a little bit of wisdom about connecting your business to nonprofits. Talk to us a little bit. You have developed a skill of explaining to small businesses, actually lecturing and holding talks on that subject. what are the key takeaways typically for a small business owner to understand about why they and perhaps how they should connect to nonprofits?
Well, Rick, thanks for having me on the show. I appreciate that. So one of the things that I like to do with small business owners, because often they don't, they either don't think about this or they think about it as something extra that they have to do. It's additional work for them in their minds. And what I try to do is, I think anecdotally, we know that, or at least we see people out in the community, and here in Montgomery County in particular, that do a lot of community development, and they put themselves out there, and they are what I would consider to be model servant leaders in terms of helping organizations and just connecting people and that type of thing. And so the conversation that I try to have with small business owners is people notice that. And until recently, a lot of that was just anecdotal. You know, you see people doing it, you think, I want to model that behavior, and I'm gonna do that. There's actually data out there. There's a couple companies that do research on corporate, socially responsible corporations in general, and one of them is a company called Cone Communication, and they have data. They put out an annual report that's really in depth on what's important to consumers. And one of the things that they come up with year over year is that, given all things being equal, so let's take a barbershop and a barbershop, or whatever, a plumbing service and a plumbing service, the organization that is in the community and demonstrating that they are doing things with the community, they are helping out, they're trying to be of value, they're almost 85% more likely to get the business than the company that is not doing that. So at the basic level, there's metrics that suggest that you should do this, right? And then the question becomes how do you do that, and how do you put that into your work-life balance, right? And the thing that I share with people is there's a couple of ways to do that. One is just to demonstrate it. You know, put a framed plaque in your office that says, these are the organizations we support, and put them in big bold letters, so that when they're sitting in the lobby or they're looking at your website, or you know, maybe you post about them on social media, they see, they understand what you're supporting and what's important to you. The other is to get involved with events. So if an organization, you know, a lot of people struggle to prospect for business, especially when you're new and you're getting out there. What a better way to kill two birds with one stone is to, one, volunteer, give back to the community and get involved, but then also meet people that know people, right? So get involved with some of these large events. And those types of things don't cost you a lot of money to do that. So if they're having an event for children that need clothing, or if they're doing, you know, for example, we've got Making Strides for Breast Cancer coming up in November. You know, show up at those events, raise your hand and say, how can I get involved, and what can I do? And a lot of times people think it's just about writing the check. Having the money in the funds is obviously great, but most nonprofits run on very thin margins. And so just showing up and helping out, handing out pamphlets, taking registration, cleaning up afterwards, those are things that one, show and demonstrate to others that you're involved in this process. And it helps out the organization, and you feel good about it after, or at least I do afterwards, you know. And then the third thing is create your own events. So, you know, if you want to do something, you know, you can do axe throws, you can do golfing events, you can do lunch and learns, all those kinds of things you can do. And what I suggest to business owners is turn on your radar for those types of things. So when you're talking to clients, ask them what's important to them, you know, find out what is meaningful to them. And if you see a way, and if they're open to it, offer to help them do something, right? And that will go a long way. And it doesn't require, in my mind, a lot of extra work on your behalf, unless you're doing an event or something like that. So the first two things are pretty easy. The third thing does take a little bit more time. So, yeah.
You make a good point that I guess I really haven't considered is that you can actually, what I take away from one of the things you say, actually, if you have a client, a large client, an important client, however you want to phrase it, that you can ask them what they support and then turn around and connect. And what you're doing is relationship building. So many times we hear the term give back. Give back, to me, that's a way overused term.
Yeah.
But in a sense, what you're doing is making this part of your business plan is to connect with nonprofits. I have one question for you in this general area, because I think you make some excellent points. One of the steps I talk to people about is take your entire business and connect it. In other words, get your employees involved. This would probably be applicable to an event, get people to volunteer. A lot of large corporate people do that. They supply people to different nonprofits to have a work day and do things like that. How difficult is that for a small business? Or are there any pitfalls that we need to be aware that we as an owner will find a nonprofit or be connected to one, believe in it, and now we want to see if we can get our employees connected to it as well?
So, and that's a good question, because a lot of people don't know where to begin there, right? And you bring up a point in that you find an organization, and now what? And so the thing you have to be careful though is how narrow is the focus, right? So there may be something that is a pet project to you, but it's not going to have an appeal to the broader employee base, or even necessarily a client, right? And so I think you have to look from that perspective. So what types of things can we get involved in, and what types of activities and events do they do that we could get the staff, we could get management, we could get families involved in that, and it doesn't wear everybody out, because there are a lot of nonprofits out there, and there's a lot of nonprofits in Texas, and you could spend your entire week doing nonprofit stuff. So find the one that gives you the most pleasure, but also the most ability to do a variety of things. But the other thing is do the due diligence on the organization. Make sure that you're getting involved with something that's not going to, upset you down the road when you find out that it's not what you thought it was going to be. And a lot of times it's just the owner getting out there and taking baby steps and, getting involved with the organization, talking to the leadership in the organization. We have in nonprofits come in all flavors, right? So you have small nonprofits that are very regionally or locally based. They may have paid staff. They may be all volunteer. There's an organization that I sit on here in Montgomery County that maintains bike trails all around Houston. We're a non-paid board, and so things take a little longer with us, but we believe in the cause, and we try to educate people on why we do this and why it makes sense to support us and those types of things. And then you have the other end of the spectrum, where you have the American Cancer Societies and the Habitat for Humanities and the American Heart Associations. And normally those organizations will have local people like myself that have coffee with them, find out what they're about, figure out ways. What do you bring to the equation? It's not always fundraising. There's some people just don't like fundraising. I get it. Maybe you can help them with social media. Maybe you can help them with membership. Maybe you can help them with logistics, something like that. I can assure you they need help on all those fronts.
You make some really good points. I think it's a great thing that if a company can connect their employees in general, the employees' families. Some of the most successful companies I've ever personally dealt with or seen or advised have been able to do that. And like you say, it takes some steps, baby steps, whatever, but it's a great thing because it's part of the culture, and gives a chance for employees to connect with something otherwise they wouldn't. Breast cancer awareness, your American Cancer Society, it's Breast Cancer Awareness Month.
Yes.
Do you have something you'd like to share with us about that?
Yeah, so we do several large events in October. We also have some relationships with several of the professional sporting organizations out there, like the Crucial Catch with the NFL, Coaches Against Cancer in the NCAA. Another event that we do, and these are all events that you could either, so for example, I don't remember off the top of my head, but one of the games that the Texans are playing this year, a percentage of those proceeds are going to go to breast cancer research. We do Real Men Wear Pink, which is it's a fun thing where men in the area here will they'll either put up a donation or they'll raise the money for a donation, and they all kind of get put on a leaderboard. And a lot of them wear pink all month, and it's a great way to just get them involved and raise awareness and ask questions, and it creates kind of a competitive environment, and they love that as well. So, if somebody wanted to support that, they could just go to Real Men Wear Pink Houston, just Google it, and they would be able to sign up for that as well. We're doing events. We've got a big Making Stride Against Breast Cancer event that we're doing a fundraising for on October 23rd. We're going to do it at the Alabama Ice House in Houston there. So it's kind of a cook-off event, and we're going to do that in conjunction with the Rotary as well. So they're getting involved in this. And then 2 weeks after that, we're actually doing an event where we're doing the Making Strides event, where we'll have people walking and activity-based things that they can do to help support the organization. So, we've got, if they go to cancer.org, which is our main website, you can drill down into that to what's going on locally. And there's a whole list of activities that they can get involved in if they wanted to.
Breast cancer awareness, from where I sit, is the whole issue of breast cancer and whatnot is one of the most focused efforts at least in our country. It's a lot of attention, a lot of connection, lots of organizations. You mentioned the Rotary, people involved trying to help out. So there's been a great effort, I guess, on the part of particularly American Cancer Society to build awareness of the issue and then connect to raise, unbelievable amounts of money, support research.
Yeah.
It's an interesting business model. Not to get off track, but it's a very interesting business model that I don't know if it's ever been duplicated. It's very interesting.
Yeah, well, it's interesting in that because of COVID, cancer screening in general, either you couldn't get in to get screened or people didn't want to get out, right? And we saw screening drop by as much as 80% in some areas. And so, one of the things that we're trying to do is just talk about education and preventative steps you can take to do this, because cancer it's prevalent. I mean, it's very common these days. And, breast cancer for women is the number 2 cancer that's out there, and so one in every 3 women are going to be diagnosed with some form of breast cancer. So, or some sort of cancer, right? And breast cancer being the number 2. We encourage people that if you've been putting it off, don't, get out there and make that appointment. And if you're in those age groups, you should be doing that. One of the things I wanted to mention, Rick, this is a service, and this would really benefit Montgomery County, is about 3 weeks ago, we opened our facility that we call it Hope Lodge. And there are about 40 of them around the country. And these are, to make it relatable, I tell people these are like Ronald McDonald houses, but for adults. And so the one that we opened is down in the medical center, and the requirement to stay there. So a cancer patient and their caregiver can stay there expense-free for as long as they need. The only thing they pay for is food, but we provide transportation and lodging indefinitely. We've got 65. They're like apartments, or it's kind of like a long stay hotel, if you will. But one of the conditions is you have to be 40 miles outside a 40-mile radius of the facility, and most of Montgomery County would meet that. So if somebody is looking for a place to stay, lodging is very difficult for a lot of, in addition to having to go through treatment and all that sort of thing, you're having to find a place to stay and get transportation to treatment and that sort of thing. So I just wanted to mention that we're at 30% capacity, right? We opened at 30% capacity, but if somebody wants some more information on that, let me know, or call the 800 number and they'll get you connected with the people that manage our staff that manages it.
Speaking of more information, as we kind of wind up this conversation for today, what's the best way for people to reach out to you to follow up if they've got a question or need some help in regard to something we talked about today?
Yeah, so I can give you my phone number and my email address if that's okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so my phone number, you can call or text me, is 936-697-0388. And my email is John, JOHN .Martin, MARTIN @cancer.org.
Okay. John, I can't take time to join us today. It's been a great conversation about nonprofits and a lot of education, particularly for our small business listeners, of connecting and bringing the nonprofit aspect of business into their business, supporting the nonprofit community here in Montgomery County and beyond. So thank you so much.
You bet. And Rick, if any of the listeners want to just ask me questions about things they can do to get involved, whether it's American Cancer or not, reach out to me and I'll give you some feedback on that. So,
well, I definitely appreciate it. Take care.
All right.
I'll talk with you soon.
Good seeing you. Thank you. Take care.
Well, I hope you enjoyed that conversation with John, and hopefully you found useful ideas in it about seeing the advantages that are right there for connecting your business with a nonprofit. I encourage you, find a nonprofit if you don't have, or more than one, that you personally have a passion, your family has a passion, and try to get involved in it, connect your business, perhaps even your employees. Well, we're going to go to our final break of the day. When we come back, we're going to have a conversation with Dr. Carlos Sanchez. He's the head of the Miracle City Chamber of Commerce, also some of his members. We did kind of a person on the street interview, and I hope you enjoy it and find it enlightening, understanding chambers and the uniqueness of the Miracle City Chamber of Commerce. So stay with us. We'll take a break and we'll be right back.
What is homelessness? Have you seen parents struggle to find a job without having transportation or childcare? What about the children sleeping in cars with nothing to eat? Families shouldn't have to struggle to survive, and children should not be homeless. Family Promise of Montgomery County serves the needs of homeless families and their children. Learn about ways you can help and learn about partnership opportunities at www.familypromiseofmc.org or call our day center at 936-441-8778.
Have a legal question? Are you a resident of Montgomery County? Call 281-645-6344 to talk to a volunteer attorney from the Woodlands Bar Association. We answer the phones on the first Monday of every month at 281-645-6344 from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. to provide general legal information and information about legal resources to Montgomery County residents.
Hey y'all, it's DJ Mike from Dance Time in Texas. Join me Monday through Friday at 8 a.m. as I count down the top 10 Texas Red Dirt songs that are packing the dance floor. I'll be featuring local artists and the story behind the hits, shows in the area, as well as new songs that make you want to dance. It's Dance Time in Texas with DJ Mike on Lone Star Community Radio, 104.5 KCZW and 106.1 KZCC, Conroe, Texas, or online, irlonestar.com.
Well, as promised, appreciate you staying with us today. And we have that conversation with Dr. Carlos Sanchez and some of the members of the Miracle City Chamber of Commerce. So I think you'll listen, you'll learn some things. So let's listen to our conversation with person on the street. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we're on the street today and we're doing a man on lady on the street interview, right? And we're fortunate enough to have bumped into Debbie Dykes here at the Miracle City Chamber of Commerce Community Luncheon. Debbie, how are you this morning?
I am doing fantastic.
And what exactly do you do in your business?
I actually lead professionally led networking groups. I I coordinate and I get business owners together to help them build and grow their businesses.
And why are you a member of this chamber?
The connections. It's great leader. I've made some just incredible connections within the group itself. It brings a lot of value to our community.
Yeah, and this community luncheon really is open to everybody that wants to come business-wise. Is that correct?
Absolutely, and I encourage everybody, even if you're not part of our chamber, come join us. You'll meet some great people.
Well, I appreciate the invitation, and I appreciate, Debbie, you taking time to talk to us today.
Oh, it was my pleasure.
Have a wonderful day.
You too. Thank you.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we've found someone else out and about here at the Chamber of Commerce at the Miracle City Chamber. And your name?
Helen Montgomery.
Elaine, and what business are you in?
Helen.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's all right. I get Helen, Ellen, Alan, all kinds of stuff.
I apologize. I need to tune my hearing aids
By the
up.
way, that's with one L.
Okay. Okay. So we got Helen's name down. Helen, what do you do?
I'm with the Cook Insurance Group, and I do commercial insurance.
Okay. And what is commercial insurance? Explain that in case a listener's not sure what that is.
Right. So I do general liability, which is actually a third-party protection for the business owner, and it's a must-have for you guys to protect your investment and what you work so hard to keep. I also do workers' comp. I do commercial auto, so if you have a vehicle and you're running around doing business in, it needs to have commercial auto. Your personal may not handle that. And I do errors and omissions, professional liability, just stuff like that. Just make sure that you're protected and your business is protected.
Yes, everything related to the business. That's cool. Why are you a member of the Miracle City Chamber?
Yeah, I've actually been here for a long time, from way back when it almost first started, and it's just a great group of people. It's a great group of business people, and they're always working to help each other. It's a great sales team for me. They're always working to see what they can do to help me advance my company, and I help them to advance theirs. And we get a lot of good education from it, good training, and lots and lots of good networking.
Well, let me ask you, if somebody was interested in talking to you about commercial insurance, what's the best way for them to contact you?
The best way to contact me is my cell phone, because I'm always out there and I'm always on my phone, but it's 573-374-2000. It's a different area code, but that is me, Helen Montgomery.
Well, Helen, thank you so much for stopping. Also, thank you for helping me spell your name correctly.
It's all right.
And I wish you a wonderful day.
Oh, bless you for being here, and thank you. I had a great day with you.
Take care. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we bumped into someone out here on the street. Coach Mark, how are you doing today?
Doing very well, thank you.
Well, Mark, tell us a little bit about what you do in your business.
Yeah, I am a health and wellness coach, and I guide people that are looking to contend for their health. I want to work with people who just, like me, I lost over 100 pounds in about a year, and I did it by focusing on all habits of health, and that's what I'm coaching on, just every habit of health.
So you come with a background, obviously, right?
I do, yeah. It's been a tremendous year. I actually started my program and my health journey during the height of the pandemic. It was August 2020. And in about 10 months, I was down over 100 pounds.
It's an amazing story. Now, I met you through the Miracle City Chamber of Commerce. Why are you a member of that group?
I am excited to be a brand new member. In fact, tomorrow's my orientation, so I'm really excited about that. And I really want to, build relationships with people in the community. We live in a great community. People offer so much value, and whether it's health or cars, it really doesn't matter. We're a connected community that offers value to each other, and that's what I want to bring. I can help people with their health without them being a client of mine. I can offer value and give some insight, and I think what I've heard from everybody even today at our meeting was that everyone provides value, and that, to me, that's the opportunity of being part of a chamber like this.
Well, I think that's a wonderful perspective. If folks would like to reach out to you and contact you, what's the best way for them to do that?
I would say CoachMarkBerger.com. My website is probably a nice place to go, and it's Mark with a C and Berger with an E, so MarcBerger, and you can find me on Facebook as well. I love connecting with people on social media.
Well, Mark, thanks so much for stopping to visit with us, and hope you have a wonderful day.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Well, we found someone else out here looking to do business at the Miracle City Chamber of Commerce. Tom Brody, how are you today, Tom?
I'm doing fine. How are you?
Fine. Tell us a little bit about you and your business.
Okay. Well, I work with cost segregation services, where building owners can really increase their cash flow by using their building to reduce the income taxes they pay. It's a great service. It's within the IRS code, but nobody knows about it. It's just amazing that more building owners don't take advantage of it.
Well, you've been on our show before, the Weekly Business Hour, and you went through that. It is an exciting opportunity for any business owner that has the real estate component to go with it.
Absolutely. Even if they don't own the building, if they put a lot of money in the build out for like retail strip centers, things like that, we can help them with that as well. And no one's heard about that either. So it's something that your CPA may not know, but we can work with the CPA to deliver those savings to the business owner.
Well, that's fantastic. Let me ask you, if somebody wants to get in touch with you, what's the best way for them to do that?
Easiest way is my cell phone, 713-906-3710, or you can go out to my website, tombrody.biz.
Well, thank you again, Tom, for stopping and talking to us today. And next, we're going to go to the leader of this organization, the Miracle City Chamber of Commerce, Dr. Carlos, and we'll talk to him a little bit more about the chamber itself. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we've come to the conclusion of today's meeting of the monthly luncheon for the Miracle City Chamber of Commerce, and now we have Dr. Carlos to talk to us and give us a little bit more information about the chamber itself. Thank you, Dr. Carlos.
Yes, sir. My pleasure.
Well, tell us, what's the Miracle City Chamber all about?
Well, our organization is a group of business people who get together very frequently to help each other and to achieve each other's goals, to help each other with each other's goals, basically.
You know, the one thing I've noticed about your chamber in particular that's different than other chambers I've been part of over my career is you do a lot of education.
Yes,
you work with your members trying to educate them and help them to be better at what they do. Talk to us a little bit about what kind of things or what your mission is as far as that goes.
Well, in many ways, business owners need different formulas and different success strategies to move on and move forward and everything else. And we don't get that in any organizations I've been to, unless you go to a formal school. So we provide practical, usable information for our members that they can successfully achieve their goals. You know, just things like sales or marketing or, very basic elementary things that we forget about when we start our business. So.
Well, you make a great point about that. And again, that's something I've not seen with chambers. And you're right. It's hard to find education. This is one of the things that my clients struggle with when they want to improve or learn a new skill. So I think it's wonderful that you offer that component to not only encourage, but to educate and develop skills. What else does your chamber do that's unusual or different as compared to other chambers?
Well, the traditional chambers of commerce, right? Ribbon cuttings, things like that. And we include all of that. But for example, we also do website audits, and we make sure that our members are actually prepared to do business. So once they engage with us, we have a 10-point checklist that we go down, just checking all their components to make sure that they're a good, usable, friendly business. So that's something that's different. Other organizations don't do that either.
What I'm hearing is that the Miracle City Chamber really is a partner of its members, its business members, and I think that's a wonderful, wonderful opportunity for the people here. I guess throughout Montgomery County, where are you trying to recruit people to join your chamber?
Well, we're all the way down to Spring, so it's Spring, the Woodlands, Conroe, and Willis. Basically, this part of town.
Well, I can tell you, ladies and gentlemen, I would encourage you to check out the Miracle City Chamber of Commerce. And you have free events like today, the community luncheon.
Almost 30 per month, Rick. So we have a lot of events.
Yeah, 30 a month. Amazing opportunity for those who want to pick and choose and be part of something that will help your business really grow. Thank you, Dr. Carlos.
Thank you. Thank you. My pleasure. Thank you.
Take care. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoyed our conversation with the various members of the Miracle City Chamber of Commerce, sort of a new group or rebranding of an existing chamber. Very interesting chamber in what they do. They offer a lot of educational skills training for their members, more than any chamber I've ever seen in my life. It's a very interesting organization, and if you live in the Montgomery County area, I encourage you, check them out, because I believe if you're not a member of a chamber, you're leaving something on the table. So look for a local chamber, get involved, learn, educate, network. It's got a lot of advantages. So check out your local Chamber of Commerce. Well, again, the show is to a close here. Once again, don't forget on Wednesday of the week, we will publish a recording of the show in all the social media categories, Facebook, YouTube, on and on and on the website at the radio station, irlonestar.com, under the show tab, the Weekly Business Hour. We also keep an archive of past shows, and if I can offer an encouragement, please consider sharing the show with other business people you know. It really helps, and I think they'll appreciate the opportunity to check in to see what we're talking about. It's a great opportunity, and we appreciate the help. One thing I haven't mentioned during the show is if you'd like to be a sponsor, if you're a local area business, Montgomery County, Conroe, Willis, Montgomery, any of the areas and the business centers around Montgomery County, consider sponsoring this show. Lone Star Community Radio is a nonprofit, but when you're a sponsor, you're not only sponsoring and donating to a very worthy cause, but you're sponsoring and will get your name out there into the public and the listeners of Lone Star Community Radio. If you'd like a little bit more information, very simple. Send me an email, rick@irlonestar.com. That's rick@irlonestar.com. I'll send you out some information, and then if you have further questions, of course, I'd be here, or the general manager of the station, Dick, will answer your questions. So consider a sponsorship. Also, don't forget, even though the show's come to conclusion, you got an email me if you would, any questions, even a challenge in your own business that you would like to see another or hear another perspective. I'd appreciate it. Again, the email, rick@irlonestar.com. We do a mailbag segment from time to time. You might find your question, your challenge on the air at some show in the future. And last but not least, I want to mention and remind everybody, a new studio for the Lone Star Community Radio. Hopefully in the next 2 or 3 weeks it'll be finished. It'll be a great opportunity. If you're in the area, come by the studio. Got television studio, radio studios, recording studios, so check it out. And as always, as you head into the new week next week and the balance of this week, focus on what's important in your business. And until next week, thanks so much for listening.